They are available in many sacred places, and if you want to find it, you have to find it yourself. It is a nice, quiet place, peaceful, calm, beautiful, and clean, and it is there that you can make your great decisions. Hana, Dako Digat, the Nenny, Lenny Bain, done his nest, Hardy Hogan has ag. That a lot of what again, has dan ik het niet go hij ben dan ik het nest ha a konde ta Hogan hat ne giti ot seder ta do Hogan net aango bi get al in higiti kat aso bi in bi neta Hogan dat is list da no hij hat es in de ako is hij pat so hat es do die kat bayat die kat pahata itse ahot ego hij die kat han net daft an is ben get da hoit net al de Hogan net da Allah da wat again has hat no ben dan his nest ha. In the traditional teaching of our Dene, we are told that there are sacred places in the world, or that we should keep things that are sacred very sacred. And one of the most important ones, and probably the number one on the list, is that of keeping your home sacred, and that the home is the most sacred place that you can occupy. And the word Hogan is a word that a lot of people, even our own people, don't understand its origin. It means the extension of Mother Earth. Is the way that they used to say it, and we call it Hogan, or in English they might say Hogan. But it is considered the most sacred place of all of the different places on the surface of Mother Earth. Now, I've had the opportunity, of course, to construct many Hogans throughout my years, and there are two types of Hogans. There's the female Hogan and there's the male Hogan, and we call the female Hogan Ba'at, and then the male Hogan Hogan Ba'ka. Hogan Ba'ka is the one that they say was the one that was constructed first before the female, and it's very important that there's a lot of teachings associated with that the male Hogan actually resembles the sweat lodge. The sweat lodge is where the holy people instruct. And so when the holy people instructed first man, it was that the male Hogan resembles the sweat lodge in many ways, and that was the very first Hogan. And then after that, then the construction of the female Hogan took place. But there's many different varieties of the way that the female Hogan is constructed. Not so with the male Hogan. And it is that there are certain ways to construct these Hogans. All of the entryways are always to the east. And the wood that is generally used to construct both the male and the female Hogan is the juniper tree. And the juniper poles and that, they last a long time, and very resistant to insects and whatever else that might damage the structure. But the Hogan is a very sacred place. And when the construction of the Hogan is completed, before the family can move in, there are certain ceremonies on that have to be done traditionally. And in the traditional ways, most of them, even in modern times, they always wanted to have a Hogan near the modern structured homes and that. And so the Hogan was a very special place, and it had to have certain special ways of constructing it, and certain prayers and ceremonies and that had to be done inside of those Hogans. Now, when the Hogan is completed, before the family moves in, there is a special blessing or ceremony that is performed for the Hogan. Now, I just say for the Hogan, not just in the Hogan, but for the Hogan. Hogan da'itlış is what they call it. And that means the marking of the Hogan with the white clay or with the white cornmeal. But it is that it is marked in 4 areas and 4 directions from the interior. The first marking would go over the entryway to the east. The second marking would go to the south, and then the third marking would go to the west, and then the fourth marking would go to the north. And the other thing that is done is that they take a small piece or a little twig or branch of oak and insert that in between the logs near where the marking is made to the east. So they take 4 different branches and put them to the south, and then one to the west and one to the north. 4 branches are placed in the 4 sacred directions in the cracks of the roof that is put into the female Hogan. Now, it's the same thing actually done for the male Hogan as well. So the teachings about the dedicating or the blessing of the Hogan before the family moves in, it is to bless it to be a place of peace, to be a place of order, and to be a place of prayer. So the Navajo andole, so all of the ceremonies are conducted, and all of the prayers and that are offered from within the interior of the Hogan to bless the family. And the teachings are quite extensive as far as being obedient to the things that are said in the blessing. That, for example, there is no loud noise or any kind of roughhousing inside of the Hogan. There is to be no contention, no arguments. They tell us, if you're going to be causing contention, you're inviting the evil one into our presence. Here we have the house gods, or the speakers of peace in the home are welcome in here at all times, and some of them are resting in our homes. And so it is that you don't make any noise in that, and make it uncomfortable for them, so that they can't provide us peace in the home. And so it is that if you're going to be a contentious person, you take your disagreement or your bad attitude out beyond the ash pile. Is what they used to say. It means, what they're saying is that inside of the Hogan there is ashes from burning the wood and that to heat the home. When they dispose of the ashes, they take it out of the Hogan and go maybe 25, 30 yards to the east and dump the ashes east of the Hogan. And that's the Ishta. And that is very important. It's there's a lot of symbolism to that particular teaching about taking things that are of no use in the house beyond the ash pile. You have used the heat and burn the wood, and all it leaves is a residue of things that are unuseful. There's not much you can do with it after you have used it for what it's intended, and then you dispose of it as ashes away from the house. So if you are going to cause contention in the home, that is of no use. Fighting is of no use. Arguing is of no use. All these things are useless and actually bring nothing good to the home. So dispose of it and go back beyond the ash piles. Is what I was told, and the way that I was instructed as to why that is done. And the way that the family home is lived in is very important. When ceremonies are conducted for the family, it's generally inside of a female Hogan. And you clean out all of the furniture and everything, and sweep the floor and clean it up, and put sheepskins around near the walls all the way around. And ceremony is conducted inside of that Hogan. Now the other thing is that when you enter a Hogan, when you come into the Hogan, you're generally facing west. And as you pass the entryway, you go to your left. And then all of the things, as you first go into the Hogan and you move in that direction, it's called the Inosetke or Shabake. Shabake is probably the one that most people understand, and that is to say, the direction of the sacred light. And so when the sun comes up in the morning, it casts its light on the west wall. And during the course of the day, that sacred light moves around in the sacred growth direction, continual growth direction. And then at the evening, it departs, of course, out at the entryway to the east. But the teachings are many concerning the way that you live in a Hogan. And the way that I remember in that and using it, even in the traditional teachings, here as we gather information and get people to concur the things that we are told, and we can visit many different people throughout the Navajo Nation, the reservations and that are often away from the reservation. Generally, if they have information that people want to share with us, they'll prepare a Hogan. In some places, they'll remove the furniture and they'll invite us to sit on the sheepskins and talk with them. And it's very interesting, and I'm really grateful for people that are willing to do that and share the teachings in that they were giving as they were growing up. And speaking of these people, I'm really grateful for their help. Many times I visited people and they cry. And they cry because they regret not listening. And they regret that they didn't take that time to take the teaching serious. And they say, if I would have listened, if I would have listened to my parents, if I would have listened to my grandparents, or to my relatives that were trying to instruct me on making my life, I could have avoided so many things and lived a life with more joy, more happiness, more confidence, and more peace if I would have listened. And so the thing that I think they want me to say is to tell people, take the time to listen. While your parents or your grandparents still have things to tell you, maybe even go to classes and hear some of these things. Some of them are telling the right things, but there are, again, always the danger of getting people that are so heavily influenced by things that are not right. The anthropologists and the archaeologists and that, they have it wrong and they teach our young people, and then our young people come back and parrot that information. And it's so disappointing. And so if you have a Hogan, go to that Hogan and talk about these sacred teachings and finding sacred places. And sacred places is outside. There are available in many sacred places outside of your Hogan. And if you want to find it, you have to find it yourself. It is a nice, quiet place, peaceful, calm, beautiful, and clean. And it is there that you can make your great decisions. And I speak from personal experience when I was off to school or to go anywhere away from the Four Sacred Mountains. If I was going to go into on to school or military, other services that I had to be involved with it somewhere, and even marriage. And the idea of marrying and finally raising a family, and to dedicate yourself and make some serious commitments and some promises to the holy people, how you're going to do this. And you're going to do it in an honorable way. And to keep all things sacred, that is so very important. Is the way that they used to tell me. It means keep your life sacred. Your children are sacred. Keep them sacred and help them to be sacred. And that goes with your wife, your relationship with her, and all of the members of your family. And is something that is supposed to be kept very sacred. And you are taught those things from inside of the Hogan. All of the sacred teachings that you receive as you're growing up are supposed to be presented to you and taught to you over and over and over again as you age in the Hogan until you find your own way to making your life. And I encourage people, keep things sacred. And everything you need to know to make your life has already been revealed to many people. It is just a very simple thing. Just be a decent person. Be good to your fellow man. And search and find out what the holy people really would like to have you do. And is within the Hogan. Hogan digito, and untinet eheki, the keho inasdoti, is what they used to tell me. And that just simply means that the sacred things that you need to know or should be taught within your home. And those are the things that I am told.
Hey, thanks for watching our videos. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss one of our uploads. Also, head over to our website, NavajoTraditionalTeachings.com. Sign up for our email list. Okay.